Today's episode of Off the Timeline is titled, What if Nebraska joined the Big Ten in 1995, the move that ended the Big 12 before it existed? What if the most dominant program of the 1990s didn't stay put? What if, fresh off a national championship, Nebraska looked at the Big Eight, looked at Texas, looked at TV money, and quietly said, We're out. Not in 2011, but in 1995. In this alternate history, Nebraska joins the Big Ten at the peak of their power, and the Big 12 never forms. Missouri ends up in the SEC in the 90s. The 1997 split national title never happens the way you remember it, and the Bowl Alliance begins to fracture years earlier. This is not cartoon chaos. This is a move that almost had incentive structure behind it. And once you see how the dominoes fall, you may never look at 1990s college football the same way again. And now let's set the table for why Nebraska would even consider this in the first place. Let's ground this. While this is alternate history, it does have to be inevitable. In the 1994 to 1995 window, the Southwest Conference is collapsing, Arkansas has already left for the SEC, Texas is pushing for revenue leverage, TV money is starting to shape conference identity, and the Big 8 TV deal is much weaker than the Big 10's. Nebraska just won the 1994 national title. Tom Osborne is at peak power. And here's the key. They see Texas positioning itself to control a merged league. And you might be thinking to yourself that Nebraska had no reason to leave a conference it dominated. But domination doesn't equal stability. If Texas gains disproportionate leverage in a future Big 12 structure, Nebraska risks being a passenger in a league that it built. Meanwhile, the Big Ten offers stability, equal revenue sharing, academic alignment, a national Midwest footprint, and crucially, they offer insulation from Texas. And that sets the table for the near failure. This doesn't pass cleanly. In this alternate history, the Big Ten vote is messy. Wisconsin hesitates due to recruiting overlaps. Illinois raises academic concerns, and Michigan wonders about balance. The vote barely clears, and news leaks before the 1995 season. Nebraska finishes 1995 in the Big Eight, knowing it's leaving. That creates tension. Oklahoma feels betrayed. Colorado questions loyalty. Texas accelerates merger talks. And suddenly, the Big Eight's not negotiating from strength. And that sets the table for the Big 12 never forming. And this is where it gets structural. In real life, the Big 12 forms because the Southwest Conference collapses, the Big 8 needs Texas, Texas needs stability, and Nebraska provides credibility. Remove Nebraska from this equation, and Texas has less incentive to merge fully. You might be thinking to yourself that Texas would still push for a 12-team super conference. But without Nebraska anchoring the North, the value prop drops. Instead, Texas forms a smaller Texas-centric block, with Texas, A&M, Tech, Baylor, Houston, and TCU. Oklahoma and Colorado try to hold the remaining Big Eight together. Kansas and Iowa State panic. The merger stalls. The Big 12 never forms in 1996. Instead, the Big Eight limps forward in a weakened version. And that sets the table for Missouri to the SEC in 1998. Things move carefully in this alternate universe. There's no instant collapse. 2 seasons pass. The Big Eight struggles with bowl tie-ins. TV partners get very nervous. And the SEC renegotiates media terms in 1997. They want St. Louis, Kansas City, and a Midwest recruiting footprint. Missouri, seeing instability, takes partial revenue entry. And you might be thinking to yourself that the SEC wasn't expanding in the late 90s. But expansion talks exist, and defensive expansion makes economic sense in this alternate universe. Missouri leaves in 1998. Now the Big Eight's truly fractured, and by 1999, it dissolves entirely. And that sets the table for the 1997 national title changes. Now this is the emotional core. Nebraska joins the Big Ten in 1995. That means in 1997, Nebraska and Michigan play in November. No split title from separate conferences. They meet. Winner takes the Big Ten. Loser argues media bias. Instead of two champions, we get one controversial elimination. You might be thinking to yourself that this erases one of the most iconic debates in college football history. It doesn't erase it, it relocates it. Now the controversy is internal. Was Michigan protected? Did Nebraska face tougher competition? Did the polls get it wrong? The emotional fuel is still there, just bottled inside the Big Ten. And that sets the table to the bowl alliance pressure. Because of Big 8 instability, SEC expansion, and Big Ten expansion, the Bowl Alliance Reform Summit in 1998 becomes heated. Computer rankings are tested earlier. Pressure increases. The BCS still launches in 1998, timeline intact, but Nebraska's move to the Big Ten is cited as the catalyst. And that sets the stage for the final domino. And this is the quiet aftershock. If Nebraska can leave for stability, who's next? Florida State, Oklahoma, Colorado? Realignment conversations start earlier. Not dynamically, but structurally. And once those conversations begin, college football never fully goes back. Now, this is alternate history, but it's not meant to be absurd. It's meant to be incentive driven, politically messy, comes very close to failing, but moves slowly. And it rewrites the 1990s without breaking reality. One move at the peak of power by the most dominant program of the 1990s, and the Big 12 never even exists. And if you enjoyed this alternate history deep dive, hit like so more college football fans see it. Comment below, does Nebraska win the Big 10 in 1997? Does Missouri's SEC move accelerate the playoff era? Or does Texas still find a way to control the landscape? And if you love structured chaos like this, subscribe and you'll be ready for the next universe that we break.